Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, osia dem yopo.
Initiated the formation of several sector-based policy committees as part of efforts to reorganize the NPP after its defeat in the 2024 elections and reposition the party as a policy-driven opposition force. The move has drawn praise from governance experts and civil society voices, including policy analyst and Imani Africa President Franklin Kujo, who described the initiative as long-awaited response to demands for more issue-based politics in Ghana. We're also reacting to reports about the new appointment. Franklin Kujo welcomed comments attributed to Dr. Mahmoud Bamia, stressing that the NPP must evolve beyond merely criticizing the government and instead present practical alternatives to Ghanaians. Dr. Bamia wants a party that does not only criticize, he wants a party that can present Ghanaians with clear, costed, and credible alternative. Now, governance experts say the approach marks a strategic shift within the NPP from personality-centered politics toward issue-based engagement and policy competition ahead of the next election cycle. A fellow at the Center for Democratic Development, Dr. John Osai Kwapon, also praised the move, describing it as a positive step towards strengthening party unity and improving policy coherence within the opposition party. Hellen, what's happening? Talk to us. What is this? So here's the thing. So you have the disciplinary committee, right? You have the disciplinary committee, and you have Honorable Kwesi Amoakwata, you have Elizabeth Utuka, you have Honorable Kwabena Ochre Daaku Mensah, you have Diana Asunaba Dapa, you have Honorable Salam Ama Apienima Damata. You have Kwame Ose Prempe. Hey, he's there, the former Deputy Attorney General. Very solid guy. There's Makafu Kofi Wanya, and there's Engineer Kwesi Abiesi. And then you have also electoral affairs. The list is there, about 15 of them or so. And which other committee again? Bright, let's look at the other committees. You have the research committee, that's the list. Then you have organizational committee, here we go. And then you have policy committee, and then you have sector committees. You have communication committee, and then you have food and agriculture. You also have foreign policy and diaspora. You have constitutional and legal affairs, and then you have trade, industry, and SMEs. You have education, you have health, you have tourism, culture, and creative arts, and then you have energy. You also have communication technology and digital economy, and then you have water and sanitation, and then you have environment, natural resource, you have housing and human development, and then you also have security, intelligence, and defense. You also have roads, you have transport, you also have youth development, and then you also have, which one again? Local government and decentralization, gender and social protection, and then you have religious and chieftaincy committee, and you have sports, you have employment and jobs, and then you also have what else? That's it. Okay. So Amma, throw some more light on what we know about these committees.
Well, the NPP, as you all know, is going through a reorganization process. Currently, as we speak, we've started our polling station elections, started yesterday, and we are finishing on the 16th. From there, we are moving on to what we call the coordinators elections, those who take care of our cluster.
Is it area ward coordinators, right?
Yes, the NDC calls us ward. We call it polling stations.
Right.
But when you're done with the police station elections, then you move to the coordinators who take care of a cluster of polling stations. That's also being done in every constituency. I think that should be by next week or next 2 weeks. Then from there, we move on to the constituency elections. Then we move on to the diaspora elections. Then we move on to the regional elections. And by September, we should be done with the national elections. So as part of the reorganization committee, the party already has standing committees. We've always had them, where I think it's every 2 years or every 3 years. I have to check. They do add new people to it, or they make changes in there. But this particular one has brought up quite a buzz because the flag bearer actually asked the party think about setting up sector committees that will lead in the policy. The policy, one, it's meant for two things. One, he already has a manifesto.
Right.
For what we use for 2024.
Right.
And the manifesto was also done with the policies relation to the different sectors of the economy. So we need to take a look at our manifesto that we used in 2024 what's happening with the government in these, what do we call it, sectors of the economy, what is government doing, and how we are going to speak about it and how we are going to propose alternatives for what is not going right. And then also to make sure that as a flag bearer, he has a solid backing from the party in relation to things that the party would want to do when eventually we take over power in 2029. So these are what's informed him to help the flag bearer to move on with his campaign and to get the party properly set up for election 2028. The General Secretary also gave a top-up yesterday. I heard him speak about it, that these are just a few, or the leadership of those committees. There's a bigger pool where there are other members, and he said that they'll be inaugurated on the, because I'm part, will be inaugurated on the 25th of this month, where we are going to have other party members and party sympathizers who have specific expertise in these different areas. So all this is just getting the NPP ready for election 2024. Whilst we are doing the party work, the party organization, the party structure, that is what we need to do our elections and all that. We're also getting ready with policy, because now politics have to move beyond the normal things that we know. You're saying the government is not doing well. The government is not doing well here. What would you do?
Better.
And that's one of the things that the NDC is suffering from, because when they were screaming their heads off a few years ago, we should have asked them, what would you do better in specific areas? And yes, they did give some answers in their manifesto. They are not, a lot of them, that's also what is giving us all Ghanaians the ability to charge them as we're going along. And in 2028, Ghanaians will pick their manifesto, what they said, and a judgment to be given. So the MPP wants to build on that. We also have a manifesto, but we are building on it. That if you said something is not going on well, you should have a proper policy that you can give to Ghanaians and let Ghanaians understand that this is what we will do as an alternative. And that is how we should move our democracy, and that is how we should move our governance, our governance system. So that's the thought processes behind this whole matter. Okay.
I have just a few questions for you. Now, are these committees going to be, they say, the arrowheads when it comes to specific issues that have to do with those areas? I'm talking about the communicating arrowheads, yes, communications arrowheads. So when it comes to housing, this committee would respond to this. When it comes to, say, health, this committee will respond to it. And arrowheads in the sense that, are they the ones who are going to be talking or engaging the public, or they will do more of the background work, research, and so on, and say that, okay, because Parliament is doing that already. I mean, your minority in Parliament are doing that. There's all kinds of people serving in all kinds of committees. And anytime issues come up, they're the ones who are ahead speaking to those issues. So how is the collaboration going to be between these committees and that which minority is doing in Parliament? I don't want to know how you intend to work.
The list that came out, we have almost all the members of Parliament who are serving in the different committees on the party's committees too. Right. Let's remember that members of Parliament get into the Parliament on the ticket of the political party, except those who decide to go independent. But those who are MPP members got there on the ticket of the party. So whilst they are doing their work in Parliament, we also, as a party, need to do our work. So if you're talking about the people who are going to lead the arrowhead in terms of speaking to issues when it arises in those industries, yes, these people are going to do it, but they're going to do it with the members of Parliament. Okay. So when you look at it, you realize that almost every member of Parliament is on a committee that they are already serving on in Parliament. And that's the whole thing. We need to have a united front. Right. We need to have, when we say one thing about the housing sector, it should be one thing across board. That is the MPP's voice. Whether it is the MPP in Parliament, or it is the MPP as a party, or it is the flag bearer who is leading, MPP must have one voice on every matter that comes up. So these are all processes of gelling us all together and making sure that we get that one voice on all the issues that will come up. Because Parliament shouldn't be saying something different from the party.
Right, right. So
when I say Parliament, I mean MPP in Parliament should not be saying anything different from what the NPP as a party.
Right.
It should be the same thing.
Okay. So, for instance, when I take you, I mean, you have been communicating for the party for a while now, and you work under the auspices of Richard Anyagba, who is the Director of Communications for the party. Now there's a communications committee. So, who is going to be, for instance, responsible for determining or deciding who goes to which platform to communicate? Is it still going to be a Richard Anyagba?
Is still going to be doing that.
Okay, with the support of the communications committee.
Exactly. Yeah.
And this communications committee is for the party, not for the doctor, not for the Bawumia campaign.
No.
Oh, okay.
Now there's no Bawumia campaign. There's the NPP campaign.
There's the NPP campaign.
Because he's the flag bearer.
He's the flag bearer. Right. I get it. Okay, Prof. What do you make of this? Your friends are gearing up. There's all kinds of reorganization happening, and now when you raise an issue, you know exactly which committee to target and to ask them the questions. For instance, you are into environment and science. Your sister and friend, your big sister and friend.
It looks like the NDC, from the reactions I'm getting from them on this matter, they seem to be too bothered about our matter when they should be concentrating on actually delivering on the promises to Ghanaians. Because if you are busy delivering on the promises, as you said, and it's not as if you are just existing and making it seem as if you are working. And you will not be too bothered about what the opposition party is doing and whether we are rebranding ourselves and be giving us needless advice about who to bring and who not to bring. It is our party. This is how we think we can do our reorganization and do it well. You should rather be concerned about the promises you made to Ghanaians. I mean, Prof was talking about the first time that there was a haircut ever in this country. I'm just reminding her that for the first time ever since Ghana started exporting cocoa, there have never, ever been a haircut. This is not even a haircut. This is income cut for cocoa farmers. But under John Dramani Mahama II presidency, cocoa farmers have gone through a serious, almost 50% haircut on their money. And this cocoa matter, I like to talk about it because my dad is a cocoa farmer. My dad has over 200 acres of cocoa. So this matter is something that has affected him. And in fact, has affected my whole family. Whilst we are talking about cocoa, prices of cashew has dropped so bad to the extent that a kilo of cashew that used to go for about 25 cedis at the time the NPP was exiting in 2024. This year is going for 7 cedis, a kilo. These are the sort of things that we want you to deal with. You do not go and make promises to cocoa farmers. You already cut their money. You were taking their 3,100. You lied to them in opposition, made noise, screamed all over the place that you were going to give them 7,000, 6,000. The 7,000, the 6,000 didn't come on. You came into power, you couldn't pay them. The 6,000, the 3,500 that you say you paid them, you couldn't pay them. You said 2,500 that you paid them. Up till now, as we speak, some farmers, a majority of the farmers, have not even received the 2,500. And as we speak, it looks like, from what we are picking from around, they're going to even cut the prices further. This is what you promised Ghanaians to do. Solve their problems for them. Cocoa farmers in this country are annoyed. They are going through it. And that is what you should be dealing with. Not talking about the NPP that is going into opposition and we are trying to build ourselves together. And you are worried that you are talking about what you think is our track record. You are supposed to be making your own track record. And it's not looking good. Whilst we are also at it, nurses, the new nurses and teachers, you haven't paid them. They have been screaming their heads off. They haven't been paid. Concentrate on that and leave the NPP alone. That should be your problem. Ghanaians actually voted for you to come and solve these problems. Ghanaians pay you. When I say Ghanaians pay you, I mean the officials of the NDC government. Ghanaians pay you to solve their problems for them. Solve it for them. Now, you don't come and tell us who the NPP reminds you of. What legacy are you leaving? Cocoa farmers are going through it. Cashew farmers are going through it. Maize farmers are going through it. soya bean farmers are going to, and for those of us who come from farming backgrounds and farming communities, this year has been one of the most terrible years in farming in Ghana. I think the government should be more concentrated about that and leave us alone. Leave the MPP alone to do our job. Whilst we are talking about inflation being low, the prices are going up, and we can't buy the food, we can't buy things. And you come and scream inflation is 3%. Meanwhile, as of 2024, the stuff that I was buying, let me use a typical example. I didn't know because I use it a lot. The small tin.
Right.
In 2024, it was 8 cities when I was leaving. Now it's almost 14 cities, 13 cities. Yes, 12 cities, depending on where you buy it.
Wow.
And so if you are telling me that inflation is 3%, and I have to buy my groceries, I have to buy my provisions at almost twice as much, almost 50% extra, 30% extra, your low inflation does not make any impact in my life. At least we are happy she didn't add the broken record of the dollar oh no, she did. She didn't mention the dollar. So what should I do if the dollar is low? For me, and I can say over 14 million Ghanaians, whether dollar is high, whether dollar is low, it doesn't affect us. Of course, there are some Ghanaians who use the dollar to trade, but they are very, very, very small minority compared to the total population of Ghana. So maybe they are the ones who are benefiting for this artificial holding of the dollar. But the rest of the country, it doesn't make anything to us. What it means is that you have rather taken money out of the economy to support this, your whole inflation and dollar matter, and we are not getting money to do what we have to do. So please, concentrate on the work and do it. You said you could do better. You said you are resetting Ghana. We don't see any reset. The reset you are giving Ghanaians is the cocoa farmers who have not been paid, the cashew farmers who have not been paid, the students who have not been paid. That is the reset you are delivering. Do that and leave the MPP alone. The MPP is busily trying to see how we put our committees together, put the party together, so that we can start solving the mess that you are creating, because you are creating a mess. We can start solving it, because in 2028, 2029, the sort of messy people are going to leave for the next government, which you already did in 2015. Look at the effort it had to take for us to get to where we got to. With all the issues that happened, including world crisis and everything, you small Russia, Ukraine, that hasn't been going for 6 months. Look at how things are going. But look at what the MPP experienced from COVID, from closing down of everything, to all the way to all the things that happened. You people said you haven't heard from, we are the worst government ever. And you have just 1.5 years, small Israel and Ukraine are fighting. The dollar, the petrol prices are going up. And see you. Meanwhile, you have charged us all for doing so. You know you are paying the Dumso levy. Every time you buy a liter of fuel, you are paying 1 cedi for Dumso levy. Meanwhile, we are going through Dumso. Yesterday, at my dad's place, all the way from Kasua, all the way down to Malam Junction, light off. But we are still paying Dumso levy. These are the things that you should be solving. Water, electricity charges have gone up by almost 30% in just your 1.5 years of being in office. You are not concerned about that. You are bothered about us and our reorganization. Please, you have work to do. We promised Ghanaians a few things to do well. We promised them quite a lot. You haven't delivered on anything. We are rather seeing negative resetting. Concentrate on that.
Okay.
And leave the NPP alone.
All right. So your very good friend, Gabriela, has just sent you a message.
She owes me.
She owes you. What does she owe you?
She knows. We'll talk about it later.
Gabriela, so she says you owe her. Apparently it's between the two of you. So that's why I don't want to be a third party. But it says, so Hellen doesn't know. No, first of all, let me start. Okay. All right. So Hellen doesn't know that the DDP affected Cocoa Board and even the Cocoa bonds the MPP issued, leaving a gaping hole in Cocoa Board financing, or she's just being economical with the truth. 40 million Ghanaians, are we including our ancestors? Okay, this one here says that Alfred Kojo Tredel says, good morning, Moro, and to your cherished viewers. The members of the committee formed by the former vice president are not new. In fact, all of them were part of the administration that mismanaged Ghana's economy for the past 8 years. Moro, are you aware Russia-Ukraine war is still ongoing, but because the economy is being governed by the visionary president, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, we no longer hear Russia-Ukraine war, etc. That's coming from Alfred Kojo Tredels. Alhaji Hamza from Pig Farm, he says that, good morning, my brother. Truth be told, the MP standing and sector committees is all what I do, as much ado about nothing. I can tell you for a fact that the MPP in its current form is more divided than before. I don't think they're ready for 2028 elections. We have been told that Kelvin Taylor and Osu Bempa has been sacked from the MPP. So all this along, Kelvin was an MPP member. Did I hear the MPP woman talking about head cuts of cocoa farmers? She says, I'll advise her not to sit anywhere and say that again, because what they did to pensioners in this country, I'll advise her also to stop talking about cocoa. Their party executives are currently at cells pending in some prisons. NPP party executives in Bono are using government funds to import cocoa from Cote d'Ivoire to Ghana, and it's all about the price of cocoa in Ghana is better than that of Cote d'Ivoire. I wonder why they are keeping the 4 MPP executives. They should be in prison to serve as a lesson to other MPP members. They are the enemies of progress of this nation and must not be allowed to get closer to their corridors of power again. This one here from Carlos from Ododo, and I say God bless you, Carlos. He says, let me use this occasion, especially on this Monday Ladies Affair, to commend you and your team for the discussion on the MP committee that has been formed. You have done well, because I have noticed many MPP communicators on different platforms this morning trying to push this agenda just to remain relevant, as their party is gradually losing relevance and needs public attention. So I commend your team and yourself for bringing the issue to the fore for discussion. But let me also tell the lady in your studio that it's a waste of time, because their party is politically dead. We're calling on President John Dramani Mahama to investigate and arrest those who have collapsed the country. Yet today, they are the loudest voices in it, especially when the former minister who allegedly embezzled public funds has the audacity to question losses at the Bank of Ghana. Where in the world can this happen except Ghana? Carlos, and I say God bless you. Mark Kojo-Boafu, who is a regular viewer. In fact, this man has been watching this show for the past 24 years since Randy was here. In fact, he knew how Randy started the show. And he hasn't stopped watching. He sends us a message from America. You know, he turned 60 just recently. Yes. It says, happy belated birthday. Yeah? Yes. Musa Batwaina. So as I read your message shortly. But Musa Batwaina, so as it says, the improving economic outlook we're witnessing today is a result of prudent economic policies, fiscal discipline, accountable governance under JM and Professor Jane Nana Opoku Ajimai. It is therefore not surprising that Fitch Ratings upgraded Ghana's rating to B with a stable outlook after the previous MP government and Akufo-Addo and Bawumia pushed the economy into a junk status through the economic mismanagement. The difference in leadership and economic competence is clear. So, Mark, could you... Dr. Sheriff Hallett says I should say hello to you. Okay. Yes. He's watching us from the UK. He's he's also sent me a very interesting article. Prof, I'll look at that article and I'll come back to you. Now, this one from Mark. So Mark says, very interesting topic. DNA isn't magic. Lab errors, sample swaps, and misinterpreted results ruin lives. Compulsory testing would surface affairs. Unknown siblings misattributed parentage for millions overnight. Society isn't ready for that level of involuntary truth-telling. This bill should not be a priority for Ghana. We still have bread and butter issues confronting us as a nation. My sisters should tell us the truth if we are the fathers. Who pays for the cost? Cheers to Prof and Hellen. Now, Kojo-Boafu, I'm going to end with his message. It says, Moro, please inform Her Majesty Hellen that you are paying Dumsor levy because your Ken Oforiatta has embargoed ESLA till 2035. He used the loans he collected from collateralizing the statutory fund to fund his gambling debt whilst he collected commissions from same. One thing I agree with Hellen, though, is that Professor Yara shouldn't have bothered commenting on their so-called reorganization. It's the failed, washed, corrupt, moribund lot playing table tennis all over again. That's from Kojo-Boafu. Now,
that he also owes me.
He owes you, eh? Okay.
He and Gabriela. Everyone owes us.
Discover MNC Group Global, your number one partner in minerals and food commodities trading, real estate development, general logistics, procurement, management consultants, investment advisory, imports and exports. They have headquarters in East Legon, Accra, Ghana. MNC Group, they also have offices in Dubai. They have one in Hong Kong, Guangzhou in China, Johannesburg in South Africa, Virginia, USA, and also Arezzo in Italy and Hanover, Germany. We connect markets that drive business growth with tailor-made solutions to meet your needs. So trust us to maximize your value in every deal and reach us on MNC Group at mncgroup.gh.com or call 030.
PENDREAM TV. Now, so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Ah, nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.